Hi, this is Rivastar and you're listening to Meet Katie's Lowering the Tone. Ciao, sono Rivastar e stai ascoltando Lowering the Tone con Meet Katie.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Lowering the Tone with me, Meet Katie. I have a long show ahead, well over 2 hours of music and chat. This time round, I managed to catch up with an old friend of mine, Steve Young, better known as Hedflux. Thoroughly nice guy and possibly number one side breaks producer in the world. But before we get started, I really need to give a few people a shout. Caroline Campus, Matthew Bonza, Fabian Pitchard, Brian C. Pass, Lane Snedden, Alicia Smith, Breton Vine, Sam Craven, Xavier Edart, and Neil McNone. All of you have been extremely generous and donate some money via the Bandcamp. Your donations are the thing that keeps this show going, so thank you so much. It's really appreciated. Anyway, enough chat. Let's play some music. listening to me, Meet Katie, on Lowering the Tone.
I'll fuck it to death. I'll fuck it to death. I'll fuck it to death.
If you like the deeper, bouncier style of breaks, then check out the Stanton's Punks label. They've got some cracking new releases. This is Mafia Kiss.
Right.
Here's something new from himself and Dylan Rhymes. It's called Dents, and it's on our Lot 49 label. enjoying the show so far. If you're interested in the track listing, you need to go to meetkatie.com and hit subscribe.
To Learn the Tone with Meet Katie.
Okay, I've got a few more shouts to do. Andy Matthews, Natalie and Little Alice, James Evans, The Mailman and Jay, Jenny Chu, Big Popper, Hatch, Alan Cross, Carl Stanton and 1025. Thanks for your ongoing support. Sucker for Ukrainian techno. This is Jam Rock and Baltazar.
Yeah.
darken things up for a little while. Still to come, a long interview with Hedflux.
Hi, this is Matt Goddard, aka Dopamine, on Meet Katie's Lowering the Tone podcast. Something new from our man in France, Atix.
To receive a track listing for the show, please go to meetkatie.com and subscribe.
Okay, I've got some gigs coming up that are worth mentioning. You can catch me at the MADM party. I think it's pronounced Madam. And that's at the Beaver Works in Leeds on the 13th of March. I'll be playing alongside an old mate of mine, Kilo, which I'm looking forward to. And then I'm going to be playing at Bristol's Bass Kitchen on the 3rd of April, and that's at Timbuktu. Keep an eye on my Facebook page for more details. We're also in the process of putting another Australian tour together. At the moment that looks set to be July. Again, keep an eye on my Facebook page and I will keep you updated on the progress of that. Okay, just a few more shouts and then we can get back to the music. Louise O'Donnell, Julianne Murphy, Joe 90, Sid Wesley and Johnny Pulse. All from the LSM blog, the Life Support Machine. It's one of the best blogs out there and there's a lot of free music every week. So if you have time, it is well worth checking out.
The same thing.
could, I'd give you the world. Till life forever, I'd be your girl. Just like honey, I'm so sweet. Satisfy your every need.
And you're listening to Meet Katie on Lowering the Tone. Okay, not long until he gets that interview with Hedflux. It's going to get a little bit twisted before we do so though. The wonderful Victor Ruiz. Check this out. I hope you enjoyed the music that I've played for the last hour or so. If you want to get involved with the show, the best way of doing so is with a promo. Just tweet, share the link, mention it to your friends. If you're feeling it, then get behind it. Simple as that. Right, I think we're at the time now for that interview.
Exclusive.
Hello, Steve.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We played together last night in a warehouse party called Hype in London, in the East End, which was fun. So we neither of us have had much sleep, I guess. How are you feeling?
Yeah, kind of quite wired on coffee.
Yeah?
Yeah. 3 hours sleep and 2 strong coffees.
Did you enjoy last night?
Yeah, it was good fun. Yeah, really nice people. A lot of people I knew, but also a lot of people I didn't know. But everyone was lovely, and I turned up really early, so I had a good sort of 4 hours to just like hang out and enjoy the night before I played. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, you didn't seem too drunk or anything when I arrived.
Yeah, no, I don't drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I might have the occasional wine with a meal or something, or something like I don't know, maybe occasional cider, but I don't like beer, and yeah, I don't really drink spirits.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know, the hangovers just got so bad that, I just thought if I've had my best drinking years are behind me, it's only going to get worse.
It's just weird hearing this from a Scot.
Yeah, I beat all the stereotypes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not stingy with money either.
Oh, really? That's incredible. Scott that doesn't drink.
Yeah. No, I always did, especially, when I was younger at uni and stuff like that. Or just, it's just part of the culture. But yeah, as I got older, and particularly I started gigging more, and I was like drinking at gigs, and then just the next day just feels so awful, and all the, any kind of magic from the night before was just kind of lost in this horrible feeling of just like wanting to die.
It's not fun, especially when you're in the arse end of nowhere and it's like 10 hours travelling back to get you home, and stinking hangover. That's not fun.
Yeah, no, it's certainly not. Yeah.
Well, that answers the question that Matt Dopamine asked. Said, how's the hangover?
So absolutely fine, thanks, Matt.
Right, so let's get into it. Where should we start? We got time. The weird thing is that like, obviously I saw you last night, and we've probably done 10 interviews in between now and then, just chatting about everything, certain music and personal related. There is a few people that have sent in questions to the Facebook, and we will get onto them later. But one of the questions, which I think is probably a nice place to start, was when was the moment you decided to, be Hedflux?
Well, I came up with the name Hedflux back in about 2003. I started running a night in London called Breaks Even. This was.
I see what you've done there.
Yeah, broke even a few times, but so I started that, and I'd been playing drum and bass throughout the 90s and kind of rave and hardcore and in my sort of younger years, sort of early 90s, and I kind of had a bit of a break from it. I actually sold my decks in like 1999, and I thought I was kind of done with it, and then moved down south to go to uni and started going to parties in London, and that's when I started hearing breaks and stuff. And I just thought I have to get back into this. So I was producing. I was trying to make sort of this was kind of like, I guess, in the peak of this sort of new school, when Hum was on and stuff like that. Yeah, so I was going to Hum. And right there up the front with my wife during your sets and everything. Those were some of the best parties ever. Really inspirational. And so, it wasn't like the New School Breaks Forum and that kind of thing back then. And so, I came up with the name Hedflux, and it was my new kind of DJ name, and started running a night in London. And we ran about 7 or 8 of them. And then it was going pretty well. And then the End started putting on a breaks night on the same night as ours.
Is that Chewing the Fat?
Yes, Chew the Fat. Yeah. And we lost a lot of traffic to that and stuff, and it was just kind of getting harder to run anyway. The two of us didn't live in London, so we were coming into London to do flyering and all that kind of thing. It was hard work, but it was fun. And so I played out a bit from there, and I was getting more and more gigs and working on my production. I sort of released my first breaks track in like 2008, I think.
Right, okay.
On Sinister.
On Sinister?
Sinister, yeah.
Paul?
Yeah.
The funny thing is, he lives down the road.
Oh, really?
And he drinks at my local pub.
Oh, no way.
And I bump into him quite a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I just met him once, but I kind of I guess came in at a sort of a time for them when they were actually just quite close to, breaking up and shutting down. So I did like 2 releases for them, and then, then I just, they weren't responding to emails and stuff. They just kind of disappeared. Right. And then I heard that, they'd basically finished it up. So I was kind of left without a label. And I knew Dom Smart from Far Too Loud, who's obviously a big inspiration. Those guys really did the Cybreaks thing.
Just to backtrack a little bit, because Far Too Loud originally was 3 people, weren't it? Originally, there was 3 of them. Yeah. I don't know the other guy, but then one of them left, and then it was just Dom and Ollie. Yeah. And then Dom left afterwards, and then Ollie continued on his own. So I just want, because a lot, we know this stuff, but obviously there's people out there that wouldn't realise, and they just see Ollie and go, "Oh, Far Too Loud. What do you mean?" Yeah. But Far Too Loud was more than one person that through the history of Far Too Loud, I guess. Yeah. Sorry, mate, carry on.
Fine. So those guys had really kind of set the scene as far as the Cybreaks thing was concerned, and I was really into it, and I just kind of ran with it. And so Dom started Broken Robot to obviously be a Cybreaks label, and so I started releasing through him, and so all this time, it was my dream since a very young age. I probably started listening to like rave music when I was about 12, maybe something, and it was just the coolest thing I'd ever heard.
How old are you now?
I'm 36.
Jesus, do you know what? I genuinely thought you were younger. Yeah, because I think it's your enthusiasm.
Where were we?
Rave being an influence.
Yes, so that's right. Electronic music, rave, early 90s. It was just the coolest thing. I just developed an obsession with it, and I started DJing really young. I was DJing at like school discos and things like that, and it was just always a passion. But I kind of kept it. In my mind, it was kind of separate from, school and studies and work and things like that. I was kind of quite into physics and maths at school. It was kind of really the only subjects I was doing really well in.
I think your job before music was you were is it quantum physics?
Well,
what was I know it's. I know you're really smart. I know that.
So I'll give the short version of the full story, but so I went to uni to study physics, and I was DJing throughout uni and stuff as well. And teaching myself production. But I was kind of curious, about physics and maths. I had lots of questions, and I was kind of good enough at it to, get through. I carried that on. I did a degree and a PhD down in Guildford at the University of Surrey. Yeah, I finished my PhD when I was 25. That was in 2005, and I went into a job in IT, which I didn't know what I wanted to do career-wise. I just kind of wanted to get a decent job, make decent money, obviously, and so I went into IT. I did that for 5 years, the whole time I was pretty miserable, I gotta say.
But was you making music at the same time and sort of participating in the scene?
Yeah, so I was still playing out a lot at weekends, working on production in the evenings. It would just be a case of just like getting home, having dinner, and then just getting on the computer and making beats. And then just what happened is as I started to release music and share music online, people were getting really excited. Opportunity was coming in. A little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. You started out getting like doing gigs for free, and then you're getting like 40 quid, and then it's like you go a bit further afield, you get 80 quid, and then somewhere else and it's like 100, and then I started to think, this is great, and it's not just about the money, of course, but I was like making people really happy. And the thing is, like what I was doing in physics, there was only like probably about 3 other scientists in the world who actually gave a shit about what I was doing. It's so niche,
right?
And that's the thing with the PhD; it's so specialized that usually there's hardly anyone else who actually cares about what you're doing. It's very, very specialist, and so I felt really, isolated with that. Yeah, so the music was growing. It was growing. It was exciting me. Things were happening. And I started to think, maybe I could do this as a living, which is kind of what I've always wanted to do.
Right.
Anyway. And the more I just kind of looked within myself, and the more I realized that, it's always been about the music, you know, all my life, you know.
You wouldn't be satisfied if you didn't try to do what you're doing now.
Yeah, exactly. Everything else was a distraction from the music, really. Right. You know, I did what I had to do. I'm glad I did the things I did, but I guess I didn't believe I could have a career as a musician. I didn't, growing up, I didn't know any professional musicians or anything like that. You know, I didn't live in London surrounded by all this talent, It didn't seem real to me when I was younger, but then, once I started putting stuff out, it started to seem like I was actually within my reach.
I guess when you start when you see a little bit of income for something that you love doing, it makes it a little bit more real.
Yeah,
because it's like, actually I can do this. And also, you travel the world now, so you meet a lot of like-minded people, and you meet people in the same situation as you, and you're not alone. And a lot of the things that you go through and a lot of the things that you encounter when you sit down and chat to other producers or DJs, and they have a very similar story, even though how they reach that point may be very different, but what they go through, it's like counselling, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. The way, and that was completely unexpected to me. I mean, I never really thought about it, but when you start releasing music, just people who are like you come into your life. It's really bizarre. I mean, when I was in uni, my PhD, I had great supervisors and stuff, and my job, I had colleagues, but generally I felt like kind of an outsider or like a pretender. I was just kind of like I was there pretending to be this person, because that was my job, and it was certain expectations, but the real me was just, all about the music and this kind of thing.
Daydreaming about writing tunes.
Yeah, I've always been a bit of a dreamer and a bit of an idealist, but so
that's how we get to where we are now.
Yeah, so that takes us to 2010,
right?
Things were not going so well at the company I was working for. Like, people were getting laid off, and it was basically going in reverse. I kind of joined it when I was like the second employee, and we built it up to like 15 people. And then, the 2008 economy crash hit, and then it started going down and down and down until I was one of the last left. And I was like, I have to do something else. I don't want another job in this industry because I'm not into it. It was like sort of finance software, that kind of thing. And in sort of 2009 and the early part of 2010, I was considering all sorts of possible career options. Like, I was considering teaching and all kinds of different like corporate jobs. But at the same time, the music was doing really well. I was getting emails every day from people, love your music, love this, and I'm thinking, this is what I have to do. And my wife was pregnant with our first daughter, Iv'e, and she was born in April 2010. And I actually handed in my notice that month. And then as a good kind of encouraging sign, I released a track. Also released a track that month called Mind Cell, which just
blew up.
Yeah, it was
absolutely.
Like number one on Beatport for 3 months in the breaks charts.
It was a huge track.
And so that was really encouraging, and I was just like, let's.
Well, I'd met you before that, I think, but that was you. That's when you came on my radar as a real sort of force, production force. But I think we played at a Broken Robot party before that.
That's right. Yeah, I think,
and that's where we met. I think.
Yeah, the winter before. That,
the Scala.
Yeah.
So although I'd met you and I knew who you were, but that track I was just like, Jesus, because that track it didn't leave the chart for a long time. Did it? It was in that chart, But then in the same breath is that side breaks. I say side breaks. I don't know what you call it, but that's what I would perceive it as. That was it. It kind of hit a stride with that track. I think it was like, actually, look, stripped back, but high production values.
Yeah.
It's like, look what you can do. There's my son in the background. And from that moment, I think you kind of redefined the genre. Whether or not you set out to go, it's like, no, I guess that all those tracks that you made before were leads into that moment. Whether you knew or not that was the track that was going to do it, that track was the track that done it. And it got a lot of people that didn't want electro breaks, or booty bass or whatever you want to call it. Do you know what I mean? Which, you know, his kind of stereotypical breaks. It was people, you know, it was people looking for something a little bit more substance.
Yeah.
And that huge track. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I won a Breaks Poll award as well.
Wow.
Yeah, best track.
Really? And that was the last time Cy Breaks got into Breaks Poll. What a bone of contention that is.
Yeah, no, that was very, very surprising. But, you know, I guess down to the people that voted for it, you know.
Yep.
Thank you to you if you did, you know. I mean, that was, again, really encouraging, you know. So, I mean, there was, you know, a whole series of, you know, really just encouraging things that happened that made me think. And, you know, this whole, I mean, it's been like 5 years now, well, nearly 5 years. And all along the way, just awesome things have happened, you know, that just make you think, you know, I'm definitely on the right path in life.
Yeah.
You know, that's not to say it's easy and without challenge, of course. You know, there's been a lot of despair as well. But some of the things that have happened have just been so amazing and encouraging that it's just like, I'm like sure I've made the right choice to do this, you know.
It's funny about just because we mentioned Breaks Poll. I don't know what your thoughts are. I'm just going to spurt it out what I think.
Yeah, no, please do.
Because it's my podcast and I get to say my opinion, whether people like it or not. It's quite mad that Cy Breaks hasn't seen the respect from the, you know, from Breaks Poll you would imagine, because it is a big enough scene.
Yeah.
And the music is, you know, it does very well. You know, I've DJ'd with you actually all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, in, you know, most continents, apart from Russia, I don't think we played. But we, you know, we've played all over, and we're quite different as DJs, and we come from a different thing. But in the same environment, you know, like last night, it works. It works. You know, no one's going, oh my God, look, you know, the tempo's changed.
And there's totally a lot. There's a lot of overlap, and as I said, you know, like I mean, going to Hum and listening to your sets in particular, you know, were always my favourite sets. Yeah, so that's kind of come into what I do. But then, you know, after that, I started going to festivals a lot and hearing psytrance and everything. So I was kind of fusing that with it, you know. It's
just funny because like Broken Robot as a label, I would imagine that, like, you know, every year they would have a decent shout in Breaks Poll, but for some people, you know, I guess that the way that it's set up, it's kind of stereotypical. And
you know, I mean, I guess my perception of it has been that there's actually quite a tight knit group of kind of London DJs and producers who, you know, are, you know, who run it and everything. I'm not, you know, I'm not really part of. I mean, I know them, you know, from, you know, association, but you know, and it's their party, you know, at the end of the day, they're going to invite their friends and everything. And
well, you would have thought the American dudes, like people like Keith McKenzie and 1111, like those guys are, you know, arguably some of the most popular breaks out there. They never get a shout on it.
Yeah.
They don't even get mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's not really that representative of the overall scene.
Yeah, that would be pretty hard to do, though, wouldn't it? To actually be.
Well, it'd be like having, you know, the drum and bass awards are worldwide. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a little genre. And, you know, I mean, we're just thinking about it as a bigger entity than what it really is.
I mean, it's a tough one because, you know, Breaks obviously declined in popularity. I mean, everyone knows that, and, you know, Breaks was obviously, you know, tried to keep going in face of that. But I mean, I went. You know, the first one I went to was the one where I won the award, so I was just like kind of deliriously happy. But then I went the year after. I don't know, it was 2012, I think. And I was up for nomination in a couple of categories, and then I realized that like my set, I was playing my set at the time the nominations were on, so I was like, I guess I haven't won anything. I was like, I gotta go and play my set before they even announce my
the writers on the wall.
Let me know if I win anything. But I mean, you know, I don't know. I thought there's a lot of cynicism about it, isn't there? I mean, and they had like High Rankin doing the announcements, and he was just, you know,
did he turn up? Because the second year he was doing, he didn't show up.
Well, the year he did it, the year I was there, and you know, he was just ripping on Breaks like big time. Yeah, and you know, it was funny, funny. But there is a lot of cynicism. People get cynical about asking for votes and trying to sway people one way or another and everything. And I do think it's one of the more cynical parties I've been to, just in general in that regard. But maybe any award ceremony is going to be cynical.
Where was the one that you done?
The Cable.
Cable. That was a good venue. That was.
Yeah.
And turned it into car park apparently.
Yeah. It's a car park now, is it?
Yeah. London Properties.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess there is, there's a lot of cynicism because there's so many losers, isn't there? I mean, you're going to get your winners and stuff, but then there's a lot of people who are going to be left thinking, they shouldn't have got this, they shouldn't have got that. And so I feel like just the energy around it on the whole is one of kind of cynicism, and I don't know if that can be helped,
No.
It's probably the same. It's probably the same with the Oscars, it's all glitz and glamour. Most people are just like
they're sitting there, they're clapping, thinking, wanker. Really, she doesn't deserve that. Look what she's wearing.
Yeah. It's kind of when you try to when it's something like music, something so subjective as music, and you try to set in stone, who's the best and all that kind of thing. It can only be for a laugh. It's never going to be that serious, is it? I mean, it's because it's always changing. It's just like there's always new music, there's always new artists. I mean, it's really hard to just kind of pick a point in time and say this is the best at this is the best.
No. Well, sorry for interrupting you. Because we got on breaks, but I just thought it's probably worth.
No, yeah, it's worth.
Because I just wanted to get your thoughts on it as well. I know what I think, but I was just interested to hear it.
Yeah,
from someone
I probably
else.
wouldn't get involved with it again. Actually, I didn't like asking people for votes and chase because. Yeah, I don't know. It's not really what it's about.
It just really takes a little bit out of you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Please vote for me. And then,
feel a wee bit like a politician or something.
Yeah, and then you have to explain why.
Yeah.
it's like you feel like such a dick. And like, you should vote for me because I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
And as you're saying it, you kind of thinking, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
But, and also is that, you kind of want to highlight the achievements, Like sometimes I'd like Lot 49 to get votes for the things that we do, but then I always think, well, we're not really Strictly Breaks anyway. So I'd feel a bit like bad for the labels that are really dedicated to the scene that probably deserve a nomination or a vote or to win a lot more than we do. So you kind of like you say is that it is subjective. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that just on a point there, you said, is it really breaks? I mean, this has been something that's kind of been around my music for quite a while. There's some people who say it's not breaks, and some people say it is. I mean, I don't, personally care what you want to call it, but it's just how I like to make music. I just got an email from someone the other day. He was like, "Why do you call it Psy Breaks when it's basically just Psytrance but with snare drums on the 2 and 4 instead of?" And I'm like, well, I was like, I don't know. You can't call it trance and you can't call it breaks. But it's just an 8-beat groove. It's like kick, snare, kick, snare. It's like the simplest, the simplest breaks groove, right? I mean, and why isn't there a category for that? Is it not breaky enough, not trancey enough?
But when there's a kick snare category, I'll put it in there.
Well, this is why I always like the term tech funk. Yeah. I thought that really captured it, and so I started using the term psychedelic tech funk,
which it kind of is. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of a good.
I like it. It's probably never going to be a genre on Beatport, but but it's a good description of the sound.
Yeah, and that's it's an interesting thing of like how people perceive. Breaks, because I guess the argument is if it hasn't got a break beat in it, then it's not breaks. But then you can argue that you have disco breaks that are 4/4. So it kind of it squashes the argument that breaks has to be a broken pattern because is that you can have. There's a lot of breaks that are just, break from the music because that's where originally it came from. Like the break was when the music stopped and the drummer broke from the track. That you can have a 4/4 break, so it kind of is. It doesn't make sense to me. We could go on forever. Like what defines breaks?
I know.
We got on the break subject relatively quickly, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it's worth addressing. I mean, people do kind of think about this, and you like to have good names for things. But so what I've done is always kind of fallen between the cracks in a way. I did start. After a while, in the beginning, I was playing mostly breaks parties, and then I started getting booked for psytrance parties, and that was interesting at first. Often I'd be like warming up for. Because they just have like full-on psytrance all night a lot of the time, So I'd be playing at like 12, and then someone just come on after me and go like 10 BPM higher than me, and it'd just be off for the rest of the night, And then as that developed, there was more progressive, and it kind of works nicely. I play probably more psytrance parties than I do play breaks parties now, but that could be because psytrance is thriving and breaks isn't,
Yes.
So yeah.
Psytrance has really made a big comeback in the last few years. Huge comeback.
Yeah, and it's truly global as well. I mean, there's a scene in every country, maybe except America.
Well, saying that though,
it's small, but
you get a place like South Africa and places like that. There's a scene, Whereas I don't know if there's a breakbeat scene in South Africa.
Well, yeah, actually, on that, I played in South Africa last year at a psytrance festival. It was like a 24-hour sort of festival, one stage, 3,000 people, and there'd never been anything. It'd been running for 17 years, and there'd never been anything but psytrance played at that event. And I was the first act to not play psytrance. And whilst on the whole it was very successful, there were some people who were really annoyed during my set and were throwing things at me and stuff. Like two guys down the front were like just really angry. They were just like, their tops off, they're all muscly, and they're just going, "Whoa, what is this shit?" And they were like throwing things and stuff. And when you're standing there in front of like 3,000 people, you feel so vulnerable.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, you really do. It was quite scary, and it kind of. Even though, end of the set, everyone's cheering, people were in the zone enjoying it, but just those few people who really didn't like it just kind of stuck with me for so long and kind of really started getting me questioning myself and everything,
You shouldn't let it get to you.
Yeah.
It's like when you release a piece of music, like you can have, 50, 100 great comments about that piece of music. One person has to just say one negative thing, and you forget about all the good comments, and you just obsess over the one. And it's the same with shows, you can have an absolute kicking show, and one person afterwards, I wasn't really feeling what you're playing. Why don't you play this or that? And you walk away from that gig kind of like being kicked in the nuts. You're I thought I'd done a really good job, and that the place was rocking, but you can't. Unfortunately, is that is something that comes with doing something artistic.
Yeah, when
you can't please everyone. And even when you're at your best, someone just might not be feeling it.
Yeah.
I got for a different reason. I mentioned this on the podcast when I was talking to Shaq. I was playing at an event in Hong Kong, and I looked up and I got a bottle of water in the eye. And it nearly knocked me off my feet. And someone had decided to throw a bottle of water at me, and it was a full bottle, and it just had a bruise, a shiner. And the weird thing was I didn't really know how to deal with it. Yeah, because I had my head down. I looked up, and someone just threw it, and the party was absolutely just going off, and some guy just decided that was a moment to throw something at me.
Well, at least it wasn't a glass bottle.
No.
But still, it was full. Yeah, it's going to be.
So you're not alone. You're not alone with that feeling.
Nothing hit me in South Africa. I'm glad to say. I was quite far back from the crowd, so I was just kind of like saw a few kind of things just like hurling in my direction. I was like seeing these guys just like. Yeah,
but look, there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment, especially in like Vegas, with DJs being stopped at their own shows for playing their own music. It's happened a few times.
Just being stopped by the promoter.
DJ Shadow got kicked off decks at his own show.
That. Yeah.
There's footage of it. I just think I think that's just ridiculous. And there was another, I can't remember his name, house DJ, Mark Farina. Mm-hmm. He's like in America, he's a house legend. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a big name. Getting told to play something different at his own show where he's the headline, it's like, That's got to be the most unprofessional podcast on the planet. I left my phone on. I'm not going to answer it. No, I think the thing is, like, when you get booked to play, and obviously, you know, if you turn up and start playing dubstep and and that's not what you play, of course people are going to go, what the hell's going on? But, you know, I guess if the idea is that if people do follow you, follow your music, follow the mixes, your output, everything you put out, there should be no surprises.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, I think most of the people, certainly established people, are quite proactive these days online, kind of letting everyone know what they're about, what they do.
Yeah.
You know, there shouldn't be any surprises, really.
But then, yeah, you have to think about, like, in any given crowd, like, how many people actually know who you are, you know? I mean, I've spoken to promoters about this, and, you know, I get varying things, but, I mean, some people have said, like, probably, like, 2/3 to, like, 3/4 of the people are probably just there and don't know who you are. They're just there for the party. And it's going to vary from party to party, of course.
You probably played more festivals than I do.
Yeah.
Because most of the club shows that I play, I'm one of the headline DJs. So the whole premise of the party itself is that you're one of the main attractions.
Oh, of course.
I kind of, you know,
but loads of people just go to parties because their friends are going and don't actually take that much of an interest in the music and the scene and stuff. They just go for the party, you know. I think, but maybe it's not as much as we think.
I think of festivals, you're kind of more likely to get a lot more kind of people that stumble upon you, whether they like it or whether they don't like it. You know, funny enough. It was quite interesting that I played at the Rainbow Serpent. I know you played there as well, and you know, I had a fantastic show, you know, and it's an awesome festival, it's got to be said. And there was just some guy just really being negative about what I was playing, and it was like kind of as if you wasn't there and you hadn't seen what was going on, the impression that he was giving off online was I bombed.
Yeah.
And it was that wasn't the correct thing, and you know, and you kind of like, this is where sometimes your hands are tied. I wanted to say to him, it's like, well, I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it, but that isn't what happened. You know, I was looking out on a sea of people just going crazy, and I don't know which part of that. Yeah. Where you was that you wasn't feeling it to the amount that, like, you're potentially saying that it was so bad that future people won't check out what you do. Yeah. So you kind of almost like it's you know, one person's opinion online can be really a loud voice sometimes. You know, you know, I didn't say anything, you know, but I really wanted to. Yeah. So I bit my tongue, but that was one of those sort of situations.
Yeah, that's it, because you don't want to get into this situation where you're trying to defend your own self-worth against some internet troll. I know. I mean, the thing is, you know, I walk around festivals, you know, Rainbow Serpent. I mean, I played there twice, two of the best gigs of my life, you know, it was awesome. Yeah. But, you know, I spent heaps of time walking around to stages and being like, I'm not feeling this, I'm going to go walk somewhere else. Of course you do. Yeah. But I don't then go on the internet and say, oh yeah, I walked into the stage, you know, Meat K was playing, it was rubbish. Yeah, you know, he's, you know, what's the point in saying?
Well, I think it's kind of it, you know, when after festivals, you kind of, a lot of people do like a review of their experience. Yeah. And I you know, the funny thing about this guy was he took it upon himself to not really say anything positive about anyone else. He just took it upon himself to say negative stuff, and I was in the firing line. You know, and I was thinking, just say something positive about someone else and leave me out. Yeah. You know.
No, I've not really had any internet haters. Well, there was a couple of times, I can't remember exactly what it said, but someone had posted something on a thread that was just like really negative, but then they deleted it, you know, afterwards. But I got the notification on the email, so I'm just like, I go check it and it's gone, you know. But I've not really had much bother with haters, but then I've not really been in the game that long, you know. So I'm sure the longer you are in the game, the more you get it.
I've had a lot of hate now over the years. In fact, destroying breaks apparently.
What, from Breaks fans?
Yeah,
Right,
for real hardcore Breaks fans, just thinking that I've ruined it for them.
Yeah, it's weird with Breaks, isn't it? There's like there's this kind of expectation if you're making Breaks, you're some kind of martyr that you're going to be kind of Breaks till you die. I mean, honestly, I'm keen to make some for the floor stuff actually, but. But I'm not just gonna rule it out. I mean, it's just you just gotta make what you're feeling, don't you? And
have you made any kind of straight up psychedelic trance?
I actually, a lot of the tunes, a lot of my Breaks tunes started as attempts at psytrance, but then I can make a really kicking psytrance groove, but then I often just get a bit bored with it and then want to do something more with it. But, and I like that steppy feel of the kick and the snare, that kind of down, up, up. I really like that. It kind of helps me to make better bass lines, I think. And we've got just kick drums. I tend to just get stuck in just that one beat loop, boom, 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 or digga, 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 or whatever it is, But when I've got kicks and snares, I tend to make more kind of phrases like, 2-bar or 4-bar bass line phrases rather than just a looping, a looping note or whatever. Not always, but it does tend to do that with me. So but I haven't made any just straight up psytrance, and I don't know if I ever will. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna make some Floor to the Floor stuff. It'll probably come out quite trancey, maybe a bit techy. I don't know.
Yeah, just feeling techno.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, saw some amazing sets at Noiseley Festival this year.
All right,
Max Cooper and Slam.
Yeah, Slam are wicked.
Oh my god, I didn't expect to like it actually.
So good.
I was glued to the dance floor from the moment they started to the moment they finished. It was amazing.
They are definitely. And lovely people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that. I had the pleasure of touring with them. Awesome people, and they just kick the shit out of it every night on this tour. They smashed the living daylights out of it. And I was like, I was just like, fucking hell.
Yeah, it's so refined. Like, it's. I felt like I really got a new appreciation of techno altogether listening to them.
Do you know the Gary Beck stuff as well? Have you seen this guy? It's another Scottish guy. Awesome, absolutely awesome, wicked. Check him out because he does. Slam now, because he started. He was recording for Soma, and now they do some stuff for his label. I think it's called Beck Audio. Check it out if you like that sound. It's very good. And everyone that's listening, check it out.
Yeah,
I forget that with people actually listening to us.
Yeah, is this on?
So, out of interest, what part of Scotland are you originally from?
I'm from a small town near Dundee. It's over on the east coast, about 60 miles from Edinburgh.
Right. So, but you live in Norwich?
I live in Norwich now, yeah. So I went to uni in St Andrews, which was near where I grew up. And then I did my PhD at Guildford in Surrey. And then after that, I got a job in Guildford for a while, but then got made redundant pretty quickly, and then got another job in Norwich, and that's when I moved there. And I kind of been there ever since. I've been keen to move further south because, to be honest, most of my network is down in the southeast, southwest.
Yeah, but that's where we are right now.
That's where we are now. Yeah, and I do have to come down this way a lot.
If you could move anywhere, literally anywhere in the world, and this isn't on the Facebook, I just wanted to ask you because somebody mentioned it to me on Facebook, and I just thought it's quite an interesting question to present to anyone.
Yeah,
where would you go?
It's a really good question because I when I started going full time with music, and I realized that. Basically, I can do my job anywhere as long as I have a Wi-Fi connection and an international airport, right? Yep. I mean, you can do your job from anywhere. So then it was like, well, then where? Because people generally move house for a particular opportunity. They get a job there or whatever. They have friends there or something. But when you've got friends all over the place and you can do your job anywhere, how do you decide where you want to live? And that's been a bit of an issue for me because been to a lot of amazing places in the world. New Zealand, for example. Just like, oh my god, it was just absolute paradise. I'd love to live in New Zealand, but it's so remote, And there's a lot of great artists from New Zealand, but they then move to Australia or to Europe or to America because it's just too hard for them to be a full-time artist in such a small country. But the inspiration that these musicians get from living there, from the land, from the beauty of it, the unspoiled beauty of it, is amazing. And I'm kind of a bit envious of that. But yeah, something like New Zealand is maybe kind of a retirement option. I think probably not good for business to move to New Zealand now.
Have you ever been to Queenstown?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, that's one of probably the most beautiful place I've ever been.
Yeah,
I had one show, and it was like in snowboard season, so the party was packed. It was lovely. It was a great show. And it was on a Tuesday, and I didn't have another gig to the Friday. So I was supposed to fly out the next day. And I just extended I was on my own, and I extended my stage because I just wanted to stay. I was just absolutely in awe. I walked around the whole place with my jaw on the floor.
It's like turn around every corner is just the most divine paradise, like beauty everywhere you look. It's just like what?
I like Melbourne as well. I
Melbourne. I do love Melbourne.
Very keen on Melbourne.
Yeah,
as a
lot of friends there. Great nightlife, isn't it? There's just so much to do.
And it's a very it's just a creative city.
Yeah,
just a very nice city.
Yeah,
I liked Montreal as well.
I've been there, but only very briefly. But I do love Australia, actually. Melbourne and Perth.
Perth great,
is awesome. It's beautiful city. I think if I was to live in a city, I'm not much of a city person. I don't think I would ever move into London, for example. But if I was to move to a big city, Perth would be up there. But I also love America, I
think Americans get a bit of a bad rep because, I've got friends that American that are just the most intelligent, considerate people I know. And but the stereotypical American, the way that people perceive them, it's kind of inaccurate.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we largely perceive Americans through the media, don't we? And I always say this to my American friends that, I just grew up. I didn't have any American friends growing up. I didn't go to America. I mean, I went to Disneyland when I was like 12 or something. But it's not exactly representative, is it?
Really, no.
But generally, Americans were people I saw on the TV. They came through the TV, and they have this, kind of coolness, this kind of aura, obviously, all actors and things that you're seeing. And so, when I was older and I kind of went there and toured America, and it was really like being in a dreamland a lot of the time. It's actually, a lot like what you see on the TV, but it's also way better in a lot of ways and way worse in other ways. It's this land of extreme polarity, isn't it?
Yes,
it's the best of everything and the worst of everything. Kind of.
It's the same, especially being a DJ and being out in the marketplace, as it were, you get to see literally the best and the worst. When it's bad, you're just like, God, But then you have little moments where it's just an incredible place to be, and you see. Have you been to Burning Man?
No.
Oh, right. Oh.
Yeah,
that's quite interesting because I would have thought you'd have been a hardened burner.
Well, I probably would be if I could afford it.
I guess it's the one gig where you pay to be there, and
I mean, it's gonna get done at some point. Every year I see the videos and the pictures and everything. I'm just like, oh my God, I need to go there.
And that's a good example because you get to see the absolute best in people. Obviously, there's a huge contingent from all over the world. It's not just Americans, but it still amazes me that takes place in America when you consider the laws and how strict they are, and a lot of the things are a little bit more lax in Europe. That this actually takes place in America.
I mean, we played at the summer Aesthetic Evolution in Idaho. The guys there that run that festival are some of my best friends in the world. I love them to bits, and they put on this great festival. Although it was the last one, they decided to stop it. They had 10 great years, just run it perfectly and all above board. Making profits, great lineup, and it's just this haven of freedom in actually the reddest state in America. It's like one of the most conservative states in America, but yet right there in the middle of it, they've created this place that's just completely free and open and beautiful. It's amazing what they did there. Yeah, I love it. It's very close to
Yeah.
my heart. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to give them. Funny enough, I gave them a shout earlier in the show, but Dave and Jess,
Yeah.
and Devin as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, awesome guys.
Dave and Jess set up my first American tour, so they booked me to play in Boise and set up shows in like California and stuff as well. And I stayed with them for a week, and just you know, when you meet people that are just so lovely, and you just have so much mutual respect and just endless stuff to talk about. You know, I love those guys so much. Love you, Dave and Jess. If you're listening.
Funny enough, I was talking to Jess a few weeks back, and we were talking about Shambhala because you played this summer.
I played there a couple of months ago. Yeah,
and that was obviously when, but they approached her to book you. But how was that?
Shambhala, it was amazing. I mean, that was just a whole other level of festival. You know, I mean, it's a permanent site. You know, so the stages are always there. You know,
oh right.
They never take them down. They just kind of add to them. So they have an incredible depth of design in the festival. You know, because it's not a temporary structure.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's all kind of in the woods, and there's a river, and really beautiful, and really different musically as well. It was very kind of breaks heavy, like breaks in its broadest sense, you know, so like dubstep, trap, and hip hop and drum and bass, and all kind of like broken beat music. I didn't hear any psytrance, even though it was very much a psychedelic event, but it was just interesting to see people just having kind of the same experiences as us, but to a completely different soundtrack. The psytrance, obviously we mentioned it earlier, never really took off in America that much. I mean, there's a few kind of small groups doing it, but in general, most of the underground music in America is very hip hop influenced, isn't it? It has that kind of swagger.
That's why booty bass works so well. Yeah, because it's got the connection.
Yeah, and whilst that was never my cup of tea, when I was actually at Shambhala and I was in the setting and hearing it loud and everything, I was loving it. Just dancing around like I'm a gangster. It was also like all the music seemed to be just infused with that kind of that kind of hip hop, like counterculture, anti-authority kind of masculine energy. That comes through hip hop. Everything seemed to have that, and I actually, compared to something like psytrance or house music or whatever, which doesn't really have that kind of energy in it at all.
There's not really a message.
Yeah.
Well, there's a psychedelic one, but as a rule, it's like you say, it's not. There isn't really a message in it. It's more of a good time music.
Yeah. And it's much more instrumental as well.
Yeah.
You can get so many vocals and things, but yeah, no, I loved it. It was an eye-opener in so many ways. Yeah, really huge festival.
Yeah, it's on my places to play before I die.
Yeah.
For now I've said it, I'll probably never play there. So let's shall we go back to a few of the questions that we got?
Sure, yeah. Because
there's a few questions that I think are interesting, and I'm sure listeners will as well. What's floating your boat? Not just musically, but any artists in specific that have grabbed your attention recently, or like current influences, whether new artists or established artists.
Yeah. Well, I guess I've found it more difficult to find inspiration from music as the years have gone on, for whatever reason. Actually, just as an aside, I saw an interview with Noisia, and they asked them, who inspires you, and they were just like, nobody. No, I'm not saying nobody. I'll get to my inspirations in a second, but they said that basically they spent so much time being so critical of their own music that they really just couldn't really enjoy any other music. Now they were too critical in the way that they listened to it.
Right.
They were putting everything into their own music, and I kind of get that. When you're just working on your own music day after day and always listening with a really critical ear, and then you kind of put something on. If you're not relaxed, if you're not in the right setting, if you just put it on in your studio to just check it out quickly, you can sometimes just be a bit overly critical and not actually appreciate the music in its full glory, you know, if you were relaxed and, you know, in the right environment.
Sort of ruined it for themselves.
Basically. So that does happen. I don't get as much time to just sit and enjoy music at home like I used to since I started doing music full time, you know, actually just relax and enjoy music. But obviously I hear a lot of stuff when I'm out at festivals and things. So yeah, I mean, it changes. I mean, you know, Far Too Loud, as I say in the beginning, were influenced me with the Cybreak sound. But then I was listening to, you know, lots of Psytrance, in particular, a guy called Headroom from South Africa, who has a really fresh, really techie sound that I think just stands out above the more generic sort of Psytrance sound. And he's always been a big inspiration. And then at the sort of other end of the spectrum, kind of slower music, I always really like Tipper. And his new album, Forward Escape, has been a really big influence this year. Just, I really don't think anyone's really gone kind of deeper into the possibilities of electronic music than he has. You know, it blows my mind. So, yeah, he's always been a big inspiration. And there's a guy from Portland called Blue Tech. Right. Makes this kind of psychedelic chill out stuff. He was a big inspiration for me as well, and you know, still is. And then in sort of the Cybreaks thing, so, you know, for a while it was kind of, you know, just myself and a few others, and then some, you know, young guys came along like Bad Tango, and I met him, I think, about 4 years ago, and he sent me some tracks, and he was like, they're not very good, and I listened to them, I was like, actually, no, these are good, and then, you know, his tracks just got better and better, because he still says they're no good. They're really good. Right, okay. He knows what he's doing, but he's a bit pessimistic about his own music, but aren't we all?
I think, you know, you're your own worst critic, you know. You
have to be.
It's the same every time I produce a track. I kind of present it to people and I just end up apologising.
You know, it's a lot of the artists on Broken Robot then. So then, you know, this kind of, you know, I started to meet people and people were making Cybreaks and just getting better and better, and, you know, that kind of scene developed. And so I was, you know, getting inspiration from a lot of those guys as well. I mean, when I'm at home, I listen to actually a lot of like just deep chill out music, like real kind of like quiet kind of, you know, emotive music.
Well, funny enough, last time we hung out when we had a log cabin at the festival, or like that, you played some chill out stuff. We listened to a few times. I can't remember the name of it. Really good though. Ott, that's it. Ott. Yeah, it's probably worth mentioning. What was it called?
Well, he's had a number of albums. Right. I think I've probably played through them all. But
I really enjoyed that.
OTT, he's a bit of a legend. He actually just did an Ask Me Anything on Reddit yesterday, which is quite an interesting read for anyone who's into it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, well... let's get on to production, seeing as we're kind of floating there. Yeah. Or unless you prefer to, because I want to ask you about your label, and I want to ask you about production. I want to ask you about your DJ. Yeah. What do you want to tackle first?
No, that's fine. Yeah, let's go into production.
Yeah. All right. So the obvious thing: what sequencer do you use? And give us a little bit of background about the kit. You reach for kit, you know, the everyday use.
So I started out, I guess I kind of, you know, self-taught in Cubase, and then around about 2010, I got into Ableton. Actually, that track Mind Cell was the first track I ever wrote in Ableton. Wow. And I've been using it ever since. And so, with Ableton, you know, just all the kind of usual software synths, you know, massive Silent, these kind of things. And one which came out just recently called Serum. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Serum.
No.
It's the best synth ever.
I would be looking for it now. You said it though.
It's the best synth ever. It's like Massive as a wavetable synth.
Oh, okay.
The quality of the oscillators and the filters is like 90 filter types, and the oscillators are so clean. It makes Massive sound a bit like a toy, you know, like a little Fisher-Price toy. Right. I don't know. I mean, I love Massive, and of course you get great sound out of it. But I think in general, the wavetables have a bit of a kind of plasticky sound. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. I've done patches for Loop Masters in Massive, and it. You know, I know exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's hard to explain. Really.
Yeah, it's
I do know what you
plasticky. Mean. I don't know. I mean, you can get through it, obviously, layer up and use your filters and effects and everything, and layer up your oscillators and get some movement. You can get beyond it, definitely. But the oscillators by themselves have this kind of plasticky quality, for lack of a better word. But where Serum comes along, the quality of these oscillators is mind blowing, actually. And a few people who've got viruses, I've played it too. They're like, just like a virus. It sounds just like a virus.
Who made it? Do you know?
Iv'e Records.
That's right, yeah.
They made LFO tool.
Yeah.
So it has LFO tool built into it. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's amazing. Yeah, it just came out a couple of weeks ago.
All right. Got any more recommendations?
I've never opened any other synth since I got it. Like, it just doesn't seem any point. There was a synth called Diversion.
Right.
Which was made by a guy called Dmitry Shest from Belarus, and it's just like his only sort of product. And I used that almost exclusively for a couple of years. I really, really like it. It's quite CPU intensive, but it's great sound quality, very flexible. So the Serum and Diversion, I guess, are probably the more obscure, but obviously I've used all the well-known ones as well.
So with just regards to like any sort of like compression limiter, on the main out, do you use anything?
Not on the main. No. I just leave that.
You just
leave that dry. Yeah. And I don't really have any outboard gear. I mean, I have an SSL compressor which actually won in a competition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I did use a bit, but now it's just kind of gathering dust. I really want to sell it, by the way, if anyone wants it.
Here's a story for you. Is Klaus Hill? Do you know Klaus?
Yeah.
Klaus is in Australia, and we were talking about this last week, and Matt Dopamine was talking about his SSL compressor that Klaus has got, and he's like, I really want it back. I really want to get that. So I don't think he's ever going to get it back off Klaus, but maybe you can buy yours.
Yeah, I'll follow that lead. Yeah.
So on the channel setup, is there anything else you use on each sound? Like some people limit every channel. Some people like to compress every channel before, because I use limiters on the main out, but only subtle.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And I don't go over the top. But out of interest, is there any kind of like set pieces you reach for? Because I was chatting to Steph Riva on this show, and once he's basically made the track, he runs it all through outboard gear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. That's his thing, and he has all the settings set up the way that he would like them. So that's why it doesn't really matter about what's going on the track. By the time it comes out the other end, it has his sound.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do that does that?
No, not really. I mean, as I say, I keep the master dry. I don't really use any outboard gear anymore. And I mean, I have, I guess, like techniques, techniques and kind of approaches. If I'm looking for a particular kind of sound, I have kind of an approach to kind of getting into it. And but obviously, each moment is unique, and you kind of go off on tangents and things. But I've been trying to kind of mix up the way I approach it. So I would always start with this like kick drum and snare drum, and get that going.
Do you do group compression with the drums?
Yes.
Because not everyone does, It's
usually, just to get it kind of flatten the sort of the wave a little bit. So I have techniques that I use, and I actually I do tuition as well. So
we'll get onto this to say but
that was good actually, because I kind of before I started doing the tuition, I just started keeping a journal, and like every time I basically did something cool, I would like write it down, and then I just then formed like a kind of an 8-hour course covering like drums, bass, leads, and effects.
Right.
Just a whole bunch of techniques in each of those kind of 4 categories, and I used that kind of it's not a formula. It's just a set of techniques, a set of approaches. It can be used for any style of music, really. And so when I started teaching that a lot of these ideas were kind of much more in the front of my mind, because you kind of have that issue maybe when you're making music that you can't remember everything that you know in that moment. You only know what comes to you in that moment, but teaching it and writing it all down, I found that a lot of these techniques were really kind of at the front of my mind a lot of the time, and I got a lot of tunes and a lot of inspiration from doing the teaching.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So where's that available?
So this is like a one-on-one tuition via Skype.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so you just do like a screen share so they can see and hear everything you're doing.
And this is still available? Like,
yeah, I still do this actually.
right, so where's that from, your website?
Well, just contact me. And,
right, okay.
So it's an 8-hour course. I call it the Psychedelic Jedi course.
So where's I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who'll be interested in this. How do they get in touch with you best way?
Well, yeah, I'm the only Hedflux out there, so if you just type my name into Google, you'll find me. Yeah,
right.
There's multiple ways to get me. Yeah.
All right. So with moving on, just a subtle change, but still production-ish. Last night when we played, I noticed that you brought a mini fucking studio with you. And also, I have to say, I played with you 5 months ago and you didn't have headphones and you borrowed my headphones. Yeah. And last night, the first thing you said was, can I borrow your headphones? You need to buy some cans.
No, it's true. I've lost so many pairs of headphones over the years. And I have a good set of headphones at home, but they're open back.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much useless in a club. I do need to get some new headphones, yeah. But actually, I don't need headphones for when I'm DJing off Ableton, maybe just occasional reference, So I was like, just leave your headphones there in case I need them. But yeah, I didn't need them.
So what was the funky controller you had last night?
Okay, so that was the APC 40 Mark II,
right.
Which I just got yesterday. So
serious bit of kit, man.
It's cool, yeah. It's good fun. So I used to always just play on CDJ as well, vinyl obviously first, and then a mixture of vinyl and CD, and then just all CD, same as everyone else. And then I just kind of doing it a lot and feeling, I guess, not so much the limitations of the CDs. And I still enjoy playing CDs, but I had a sort of string of gigs where the CDJs didn't work right, and one particular gig in Canada, Montreal actually, where they had a set of decks. I can't even remember what they were, but I'd never used them before. They were just an unusual brand of CDJs, and I really struggled. The whole set, I was struggling to get those beats tight, right. And it's never been an issue. I've been mixing vinyl since I was like 12, and always been able to get tight mixes, but I was struggling, the whole set, and people could notice it. It's just like things are just a bit off, and I was, and of course you just stand there and thinking, God, I'm getting paid. I've come all the way over the Atlantic. I'm getting paid a lot of money, and these people don't realize that I'm playing on equipment that I've never used before, and it feels completely different to and from there I was like, I'm going to just start bringing my own equipment to gigs, bring my own controller and start DJing Ableton. At first you've got all this extra time because you don't have to sync the tunes, so because that's the bulk of the work, isn't it, as a DJ? That's the just getting it tight. So when you got that extra time, you have to think of other things to do, and you don't want to just be twiddling just filters, like obviously, which does happen, I guess. But so I built these kind of like a lot of like custom effects and different ways I could.
You using Ableton last night for your DJ session, right? Okay.
So I can take like little parts of tracks and loops and things, and kind of jam with those over the top of the tunes I'm DJing with and things, and it's constantly developing, But I've never looked back. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes, like last night, I turned up and see the CDJs there, and I thought, I could have just brought some of the CDs tonight, and
or memory sticks.
But I don't know. I do enjoy playing with the controller now. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So what you got coming up? I know release-wise, I suppose we should talk about the label. What do you have lined up on? Well, firstly, you're starting a label.
I'm starting a label. It's been kind of a long time coming, but it should be ready to go in a week or two.
What's it called?
It's called Luminous Music. Luminous, yeah. And I've spelt it without the O, so it's Luminous, yeah. I'm really excited about it. I've got loads of music from people. So I got like a whole bunch of remixes of my back catalogue from some of my favourite artists, a lot of the other Cybreaks artists and stuff. Probably going to have close to 12 of those. So I'm going to do a 3-part remix EP, 4 tracks each. So I'm probably going to launch with the first of the remix EPs, and then I've got an original track I want to release with a remix of that from Nanoplex. A new kind of,
Well, I just got Ben Coda, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely worth a shout, Ben Coda, because cracking music.
Yeah, no, they're doing great
and
stuff.
that Nanoplex album's excellent.
Yeah,
really, really good. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I did a sort of remix swap with them. So I did a remix for one of their tracks. They did for one of mine. So yeah, I'm going to release that. And I've got some originals from other guys. A young guy from Spain called Frequency Less. I think he's worth a mention because he's kind of just come on into the sort of Cybreaks thing this year with just an incredible just energy, just that real, just that kind of youthful kind of
I remember
energy. He's
that.
a young guy. Really exciting, really got me inspired about Cybreaks again, and I said to him, would you like to do an EP for my label? And he was like, yeah, what, 3-4 tracks? I was like, yeah, we could do 3 in a remix, or you could do 4 if you want. And he did 3 tracks in 2 weeks, and they were all amazing. And he said, I'm going to come over to the UK soon. Can I come to your house and have some lessons? I'm like, you just written 3 tracks in 2 weeks. You should be giving me lessons.
Get his number.
So yeah, I mean, I guess one thing I mentioned, last year I released an EP called the Wanderlust EP, which I put a lot of work into, like 4 tracks that were, really tried to kind of push the boundaries of what I'd been doing before. And that was really successful. Released it on Bandcamp for a Name Your Price with no minimum. And it did really well. I got a lot, I got a lot of money out of it. I got a lot of gratitude out of it, a lot of opportunity. But yeah, I will freely admit, in the year since then, I've really struggled to finish new music. I got heaps of projects that I've started, which if I was to close them all down, I'd probably have about 3 albums worth of material, and I do hope to close them all down at some point. But there's been a lot of opening new possibilities this last year, and now I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, okay, now I need to start kind of closing these down and making these into like finished products, and it's a bit of the second album syndrome, I was kind of reading about that. I hadn't actually heard the term second album syndrome until a couple of weeks ago. I was reading an interview with an ambient artist that I liked, and he said that he did his first release in 1999 and it was wildly successful, and he didn't finish anything for 10 years after that. I was like, oh my God. I
don't want to point the finger. It's taken me a few years since my last album.
Yeah.
I've done 3 albums in a very short space of time, and I was just absolutely firing with like inspiration.
Yeah.
And then since then it's like I think what it is like when it comes to albums, like when you got your head in and you think to yourself, right, I need to write an album, that's when it becomes a little bit dry, and you're like it's just that starting point, of something that's like a how can I describe it, it's trying to scale a mountain.
Yeah.
Where do you start? And the place that you start, is it going to be the right place to actually climb that mountain? But I fully understand. But it's probably a good 7 years since I made an album.
Yeah.
Quite painful. So is this something that you would do for because your EP was 4 tracks?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had 7
of the way there.
Yeah. I know. Well, I had 7 that I was aiming for, and I was going to do a proper album. But then the other 3 tracks, just I ended up
desperate to get them out.
I just was like, no, I'm going to leave them. I'm not going to release them. Can't get them to sound how I want the sound. I've spent too much time on it. I'm just going to draw a line under it.
They sounded good though. I paid for your down tempo track.
Oh, cool.
On that EP, very good.
Yeah, thanks. So I just went for the EP instead of the album, and but it was still a big step up because I only really released 1 or 2 tracks at a time at that point. So releasing 4 tracks was a step up, and I still do want to do an album. And as I say, I've got enough projects there, but I just need to close them down.
Yeah.
But I've been through. I mean, it's been a tough year in a lot of respects. I kind of got to a point where things are going well. There's no doubt about it. There's lots happening. But then it was kind of like, well, where to next? It's kind of like that point in the relationship where it's like, where is this going? That dreaded question. And I kind of got to that point. Of course, I had two kids as well during that time, so there was a lot of growing up. A lot of realities. I mean, you'll know yourself when you start having kids. You start having to think a lot further ahead, don't you? You start thinking like 10, 15 years in the future. Where you're going to be, but until you have kids, maybe you're not thinking that far ahead at all.
Also, the decisions, the decisions you're currently making, where do they end? And you simply could be just wandering down the wrong path. Getting lost. That's the way that I sort of view it. Is funny enough, someone did mention this on the Facebook about how difficult it is to be a parent and also try, especially kind of the early days of your career, having children, and there's a moment you're like, am I doing the right thing? Is this, or am I just being quite a selfish arsehole that's indulging itself?
I've been through that so many times. And my wife, bless her, it's always been like, she firmly believes this is what I'm meant to do. She sees it in me, that it makes me happier than anything else I've done, and so she's supportive of it in that way, and that's great. So even when I'm in my deepest kind of darkest doubts about myself, she's always there kind of encouraging me, so that helps. And of course you always get encouragement from your fans and friends as well. I think there's no going back now, but I never really had much of a plan when I started this. I mean, I'd been reading a lot of like self-help, personal development, spiritual books about Eastern philosophy, all this kind of thing. I came across this thing called the law of attraction.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what is this then? Covered it.
So the idea is that you can attract particular experiences into your life by essentially giving them positive focus and positive attention. So you visualize the things you want, imagine what it's like to have it, or whatever it is, and you make it kind of more likely to sort of manifest in your life. And it was a bit hippie, new agey stuff to begin with, and I was skeptical at first, but with my best kind of rational mind, the more I thought about this, the more it started to make sense, even with the science background that I had. And I don't know, I'll get into all the science of it, but it definitely makes sense to me that the power of visualizing a particular outcome that you want in your life and kind of charging it with positivity. So believing that it's achievable, and being happy about it and giving it that kind of positivity increases the probability of that or something like that coming into your experience. There's an attraction that happens, and I wanted to put that to the test, basically, with the music, and that was basically my plan. I was like, okay, I want to be doing this for my living. I want to be going around the world, and I want to be making kind of the best music I can imagine making. And if I just focus on that and stay positive and trust in the outcome, then that's what I'm going to do. And I did that for years. I was just like, just focus on the music and trust in the rest. And I got looked after. I mean, I just made the music, did the shows, and things happened. Things came, people came into my life, money came in.
It's kind of a placebo effect type of thing that you believe that. Yeah, I mean, it's working.
Yeah, I mean, it's just having the right, the kind of right attitude. I mean, I guess having the right attitude and seeing the signs as well. If you're doing something right, often there's just things that happen where you're just like, yes, I know I'm doing the right thing here because that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So it was a kind of test. I was kind of testing this kind of like new agey spiritual idea. Like, can you actually manifest the life you want by just having the right kind of attitude? And I would say now that I do believe that to an extent. I mean, it's not as simple as, I want a Mercedes, therefore, I'm going to sit here and go, Mercedes, until it appears. It's not like that at all. But really, if you want something in your life, then the actual, the intention and the visualization, is a necessary step to getting there. It's not just going to pop into your existence if you never do any work to begin with, to set it in motion kind of thing. And so, yeah, you know, I think there's definitely something to it. You know, I mean, of course, there's lots of bullshit around it as well, but I think there's definitely something to it. You know.
Well, we spoke on the car ride back from the club last night. You know, we had a similar sort of conversation of like, do you want to be that person that says, I wonder if I could have, you know, and you know, trying to explain that to yourself in later life, saying, I wish I'd just done this, I wish I'd done that. It's kind of almost better to fall flat on your face, to make the mistakes, and at least you can go, well, I had a go, I tried, you know.
Well, let's say I don't have that anymore, but before I went full time with music, my life was like that. I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that. I felt like a victim of circumstance to a degree. You know, you just feel like you're kind of like bumbling around this world that just doesn't care about you, and you're just kind of. But then when I actually took control of my own life, I was like, actually, you know, I can create the life I want. You know, I don't just have to be a victim of the world. You know, there's always going to be circumstances, of course, you're going to have to deal with and things, but you know, to an extent, you can engineer your life. But you know, it's challenging. You know, you'll meet challenges every step of the way, but you'll also be rewarded. You know. Yeah,
and also is I think you really surprise yourself. Is once you make that plunge of saying, I'm doing this, and you're 100% committed, and you sort of get this kind of tunnel vision, like, no, I'm going to achieve this. It's like you don't even let up, you know, kind of let up for air. Yeah. But when you do, you sort of look how far you've come and you've achieved. You can, you know, it can be done. You know, you know. Yeah. So I mean, it can be done.
I'll give you a good example. And then I'll get back to the label. I was going to kind of give him some backstory to the label. That's right. But
we're in a new tangent. But no, carry on. I'm fascinated. So keep going.
I went to Boom Festival, which is like the biggest psytrance festival in the world. Amazing place. Every 2 years in Portugal. I went there in 2008. So that was 2 years before I, you know, went full time with music. It was before I'd even released any music. And you know, I had the time of my life, and I was like, I'm going to play here in 2012. And lo and behold, I got booked for Boom Festival in 2012. I went there, I played it. It was, you know, probably the gig of my life. I mean, it was amazing. I brought in the sunrise on the beach. There was like thousands of people, friends that I'd met from all over the world, like American friends, Australian friends, New Zealand friends. My wife was there. My best friends from the UK were there. So many people that I knew, like peers, you know, people, artists I respected, you know. Everybody was there, like in the crowd. It was the night of the full moon, so I had the full moon. Like I was looking out at the full moon when I started playing, and then the moon sort of went down during my set. And then right on cue, on the last track that I played this kind of like uplifting kind of ambient thing, just as the last track. And the sun came over my shoulder and like illuminated the dance floor bang on time, and it was emotional. It was like absolutely, you know, peak, and I couldn't believe that happened. When 4 years ago I hadn't released any music, and I said I'm going to play here in 2012, and you know, I didn't even contact them, like they contacted me. You know, like so I literally manifested that. You know, I mean, so. Would that have happened if I didn't say in 2008, I'm going to play here in 2012? You know, that's what I'm saying. You have to set the intention. You have to have the vision for it to happen. You know, otherwise it's just never going to happen. So that was a real kind of peak life moment for me. You know, kind of, you know, pinch yourself kind of thing. You know? But then kind of after that, that was like kind of towards the end of summer, and then you start going into the winter, and you can do a lot more club gigs, and you know, things kind of, you know, after that it was kind of like everything seemed a bit sort of not as good as that. You know, it's like how am I going to get more shows like that again? You know,
you got to make more predictions.
And I realized you know, so I had quite a tough year in 2013. You know, I had just a bunch of gigs, you know, where there wasn't many people, or you know, you start to think, oh, you know, am I still doing the right thing or whatever? And I started to come across a lot more challenges, and I realized that I hadn't actually ever dreamt bigger than playing at Boom Festival. That was like my ultimate that was like my ultimate dream, you know. At the time, I was just like, that's, you know, that if I do that, I've made it, you know. And then, of course, you do it, and then it's over. You're like, well,
it's like winning the gold medal at the Olympics. It's like you get it, and then you go, and they say,
your mantelpiece.
Well, they say a lot of people have, they get quite depressed after they achieve their goal.
Absolutely, yeah. And I learned that the hard way. Like, success turns to depression if you've got nothing to follow up with. Yeah. And I didn't. You know, I was like, I kind of have achieved what I'd set out to do, and I was like, well, what now? And so I spent, you know, a lot of the last kind of year, sort of 18 months, like, you know, really thinking about how you know, where I want to go from here, you know, how can I make it more sustainable? So, you know, it's not such a kind of up and down career, but, you know, just get something that's, you know, just get it working more efficiently and with another kind of long-term vision, because, you know, I kind of reached my dream, and then I was like, well, what am I going to do now? You know, I mean, I obviously still wanted to make music and do shows, but, you know, I had nothing in the future that I was aiming for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So where are you at now with this?
So
where we go with this?
Good question. No, well, I kind of I knew that I wanted to have my own platform, kind of, you know, my own platform on online, you know, for releasing music, but, you know, also just having you know, a platform which you can really do anything you want with. You know, you could do whatever you want to do, clothes, or you know, a blog, or, you know, whatever. So I wanted to set that up, and that was you know, my kind of you know, reason for leaving Broken Robot, you know, was, you know, it wasn't that there was really any issue with Broken Robot. It was just that I wanted different things, you know. I'd been kind of working as, you know, just an artist, you know, just making the tunes, doing the shows for like 4 years, and I thought, you know, I want to do more. I want to get involved in more business. I want to, you know, connect more online, and I don't want to be just doing music and gigging forever. You know, I still want to do music and gig, but I just want to have the freedom to do it as and when I want to do it, you know. And I still want I want to serve the people who've supported me and followed me over the years, you know. So I had a lot of great fans, a lot of really enthusiastic support. Obviously, I've got all these people on Facebook and email addresses and things, and I want to serve them, you know. I feel like they're my people, they're my customers, you know, and I want to do something for them, and a label seemed like the way to go. Yeah.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with the label, for sure. And I'm sure that, to be fair, I'm pretty confident it's going to be successful. You know, I think we might sit here in a year's time and go, wow, that was my Boom Festival. You know, and you might have achieved it all, you know. So good luck with it, and I'm sure I can speak for everyone else that, you know, it'll go well. You know.
Well, and things change. I mean,
vibes.
No, I mean, Shambhala was. I mean, I played on a stage called the Grove stage, which was an amazing stage actually, but it was the smallest stage of the festival. It was still a big stage, but it was the smallest one in the festival. But some of the other stages, there's one called the Village, and that was undoubtedly the most mind-blowing, like, stage lighting, sound that I've ever seen. The atmosphere, everything, the energy there was just phenomenal, and that actually gave me a. You know, whereas before, like, Boom Festival was like my highest aspiration, and after I went to Shambhala, I was like, oh man, there's stuff even way beyond that now. You know, and let's say, you know, you just have an event or you see something and you're just like, damn, that's actually something to aspire to. That's it. So. I still have aspirations, but I guess I have you know, different priorities now. I have to support my family, you know, and I want the best for my kids and all that kind of thing. So I've got to think about how I can do it smart, have a proper business, but, you know, also be an artist. And there's just so much you really have to do these days to kind of get by.
It's very difficult to just be someone that sits in the studio and makes music and DJs. You got to be everything these days.
But even that, I think too much of anything can get a bit, you know, repetitive. If
it's running a label presents a whole new set of problems. You probably, you know,
I'm yet to discover.
I don't want to, you know, all of a sudden is, you know, you know, this the platform that you make for yourself to be independent and all that, and you slowly but surely kind of become lower on the pecking order when you start working with other people, and then you find yourself just kind of slowly moving background into a managerial. Like this is what's happened with me and many other artists that I'm friends with that run labels, that you become consumed with the business rather than, you know, the joy of the creativity is slowly kind of, you move away from it, you know, and you end up, you know, just responding to emails all day and, you know, uploading tracks and, you know, just pushing pillar to post with like all the business involved on running a label, you know.
But then I think there is something to be said for that kind, you know, that kind of work. I mean, like I find if I have just too much time for music, then you kind of expand out to fill it, don't you? You waste more time. You know, kind of. But if your time for music is actually quite limited, as it was, for example, before I quit, you know, I was like, you know, getting a lot done in like 3 hours in the evening. You know, just like bam, bam, bam. Need to do this. But then when I've got all the time in the world to make music, then it takes me all the time in the world to make music.
That is a problem. Yeah, absolutely. When you got too much, because then you think, oh well, I'll do this, but I'll do that later. You know, whereas like say, if you only got 3 hours, you write a little list of things that you need to do on the track, and you get in there and you do your amendments, and you get close to getting it finished. You know, instead of just listening to that same loop again and again and again and again, and then you kind of lose sight of whether it sounded better an hour ago.
So maybe if I listen to it one more time, it will sound better, and I'll get an idea for it. So let's go, bam. Round.
And I have that with, you know, especially if I'm working on something, I'm banging my head against the wall. I'll go to bed that night and it'll just be there, and I'll just be still in it. Kind of asleep, and you're still playing in your head. Well, I tell you what, I think we're probably getting to the end because we have done an hour and a half.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the longest interview.
Flew by, actually.
That's the longest interview that I've had. I call it an interview. It ain't really an interview. It's just banter. Isn't it? It's just, it is just a chat. So, you know, this. I think people can tell from the way that, you know, that these interviews, that these conversations are conducted. They are just very loose, and it's nice to kind of just chat about stuff. So I hope people don't.
I think you know, I hope it kind of sort of deepens the connection that the fans feel to the artists when they sit and talk like this. Kind of because sometimes I feel like, you know, like artists are just, you know, they're just like a logo and a sound, you know, and they're just, you know, and they just put a few words here and there, you know, just in support of what they're doing. But I think people really like that kind of heart connection, you know, to know that, you know, you're kind of a real person and you're going through, you know, what you're going through and everything, doing what you're doing. And I think there's actually value in that. You know, I think, you know, when I did this release, this Pay What You Like release, you know, a lot of people paid way over the odds. Like some people paid 50 quid. Now, maybe as much as 10 people paid 50 quid for the album. Now, you know, and it wasn't my mum, you know, actually. She didn't pay anything. But she sorted me out with other times. Thanks, Mum.
She's on the first 16 years of your life. She's paid.
But no, these were just fans, you know, and... you know, I mean, you don't know what's happening in there. I mean, they might have just got a massive payout. You know, they just got like 10 grand bonus from work, and they went back and listened to this EP, and they're like, God, that's amazing. You know what? I'm gonna give this guy some proper money. And you know, just some stats for you. I mean, 75% of people took it for free. You know, the 25% that did give, most of them have paid. You know, certainly way more than you would get from a track on Beatport. You know, and. You know, people, when you give people something for free, they're grateful, you know, and they express that gratitude in all kinds of ways. Giving you money maybe just be one way, but opportunity and support and, you know, other things. And so there's a lot to be said for that. But if you just put out something with a price tag on it, you may not get the same level of gratitude in return for it because you're not giving it away, you know. It's not a gift, you know. It's a product that you're selling. So there's some psychology there and a lot of, you know, interesting stuff with Bandcamp now that suggests that actually in some cases, you know, if you've got a good relationship with your fans, that's what I'm talking about, opening up, you know. If your fans feel connected to you, then actually giving things away may actually be a better business for you than actually putting a price on things. Yeah,
I mention it all the time on this podcast, but to run this podcast is expensive with the bandwidth. So I need to find that money, and obviously, putting the shows together, trying to organise, interviews with people, trying to do it like a decent 2-hour show. I've used Bandcamp as a kind of to put up some music, to put up some bits and bobs, and it's really more of a, it's not that I need them to drop a load of money on those tracks. It's what it represents, even if they don't want the down tempo track that I made that was kind of a bit more personal use. They know if they're dropping a few dollars on a track, it's going to help this podcast and me continue to give it to them. So the goodwill that's shown is incredible. And like you say, I think it's such a personal connection because there is. It's not 50% doesn't go to a big organisation. That is, an evil organisation, should we say? So it comes to the artist, and how you use that money. So when people buy your 4-track EP, they can actually. There's something really nice about that, knowing that they're actually helping keep your family afloat while you continue to do what you do. And that, so that that some people really get that. They really understand that dropping 50 quid means a ton to you. That's a lot of money for a few tracks. But in the back of their head, if they understand that connection, that money is going to you, it allows you to make more music that they enjoy, it's a good investment.
So I mean, I read a book called Music in the Digital Age by the CEO of Bandcamp, and he has really interesting perspectives on all this, and talks a lot about just the stats from Bandcamp, people charging for stuff or having a minimum price or giving away for free, and it's really interesting reading. But he said that the most valuable thing for artists now is the relationship, the actual connection, that kind of heart connection between you and your fans. And so in my experience, I mean, I go from being kind of quite open to being quite closed. Like sometimes I'll just kind of write this massive post on Facebook, just like spilling my heart out, and usually gets a lot of likes and generates a lot of discussion. People contact me, and I've made a lot of great connections just through really just opening up on posts.
Right.
I did an Ask Me Anything like a year ago on Facebook. I was just Ask Me Anything, and I spent the entire day replying to comments and questions. Some silly, some deep, whatever. But I actually feel like that actually changed my life. Like I spent the whole day just being open and honest with my fans, and I felt amazing after it. It was really good. But then other times you just feel really kind of like you're too exposed. You're like thinking about what everyone really thinks about you and all this kind of thing, and you just want your privacy. You just want to close up, and that's kind of the curse of being in the public eye, that kind of thing, isn't it? I mean, it's nice being well known and kind of popular or famous or whatever, but sometimes you just want to close down, and it's a curse of the artist, I think. But,
Unfortunately, that's gone out the window since I started this podcast. Every time I interview people, I end up just talking about stuff that is personal and is very much day-to-day life. Like we've discussed with you, is that I feel that it is relevant. Is that if they buy into you as an artist, they don't need to know all the background. They don't, but a lot of people want to know. Is that there's nothing worse than loving a piece of music from someone and you meet them and they're an arsehole.
You hear stories
really
all the time.
Sucks,
people always remember that, don't they? If the DJ's behaves like a diva or whatever, they remember it, and they probably won't have you back.
I as a DJ myself and a traveling DJ, I get to see how some other artists behave and conduct themselves, and don't get me wrong, I am certainly no angel. Right. Mine's more of like just be over the years, never do it when I play. I never ever get drunk or anything before I play. But afterwards, I've often got a little bit too loose at points, and just got a bit messy. But I would never do that. I have too much respect for the people I'm working for to do that before I play. But when I see when I see other DJs with total disrespect for the audience and just absolutely getting in such states that they can't perform to a professional standard, it is annoying, because it's like, dude, you've got to appreciate what such a great position you're in. And you're spoiling it for yourself, and also is you've got all these people that are looking at you going, is this what I spent my money on?
That's it. I mean, you got to have that gratitude and respect, and of course you're trusting in these people as well. If you're going out to a country you've never been to before, being picked up by people you never met before, you know nothing about. I mean, they say the best way to make someone trustworthy is to trust them. So I very much was aware of this kind of trust thing. I just had to, I just made a decision that I'm going to trust the music. So I'm going to trust wherever the music leads me, and I'm going to, treat everyone with, utmost respect, and I always have done. But yeah, I have seen DJs who've gotten like really wasted before their sets, and it's so disrespectful, man. I would hate to be in a situation where I just felt really kind of ashamed, and like the promoters were disappointed in me and that kind of thing. And who knows? Maybe they won't take you back to the airport. They just leave you somewhere, by the side of the road. I've actually heard of that happening. Like, I won't say who, but a particularly intoxicated DJ. They just just drove him out and just dumped him out the car and left him. And just let him find his own way back or whatever. So it happens. It's that kind of access to excess. DJs have that kind of access to excessive, amounts of things. I guess with that comes some responsibility, and
I think there's a little bit of self-control. If you want to get messy, that's fine, but don't do it when you're there to do a job. Do your job. Do it in your free time. You know what I mean? But look, we're gonna have to wrap it up. Okay. Because we have done a very long interview, and I need to think about how I'm going to edit this down, because if not, I won't be able to play any music on this show. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Steve, and thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, it's been great.
And can I get a couple of stings before we wrap it up?
Yeah, all right. So this is Hedflux. You're listening to Lowering the Tone with Meet Katie.
Nice. Episode 8, done and dusted. Hope it was worth the wait. Really sorry it took so long. If you enjoyed it and you want to get involved, you know what to do. Share the links, tag me in so I can see who you are. And until next time, take care.
Breakneck speed, falling jack to the floor, pushing back the edges of forever, evermore. Coming down slow is a thing of the past. How long will our future last? Forever. Held the soul in the sunshine. Gotta go. Fly me into the ocean. I gotta know. Fly me into the sunshine. Burn me up. Fly me into the ocean. Take me down.
The end.
Thanks. I don't know where we're going after that.